Someone shot the food. Light force flooding out.
Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, December the 21st, 2020. Boy, I have forgotten dates and times all over the place. Oh, we got a new emote. Thank you so much, Lady Merwin, for your subscription. We always appreciate subscriptions here at Dead Sun Entertainment. It allows us to buy wonderful artwork, which actually needs to be updated in a few places because it has bad information at this point, but still. Thank you everyone for coming. I am, of course, Slacker Kite. I am the editor and guy who hits buttons and makes things go here. Of course, with me today, the always lovely, the always wonderful Brian, aka Wonder Boy. How you doing, buddy?
I guess I have to be wonderful because it's in my name, but okay. I'm mandatorily wonderful. Hello. I'm all it's on my face. You can't see my
You
face,
are
but it's on my face, I promise.
you are contractually obligated to be wonderful here at Mr. Video Games.
I don't remember signing a contract, but you know what? My memory is shot. So that might be true. I don't know. I'm doing okay, honestly. Like it's Christmas week. I'm easing into it. Excuse me, my throat's
Of
not easing
course.
into it. But no, I'm doing all right. You know, just chilling here. It's actually like feeling like Portland weather right now. It's raining and howling wind, and there are police sirens. So, hooray! If you hear that in the background, blame me. Blame the Wonder Kid. I'm not a kid. I can't say I'm one. I can't say kid anymore. I'm not a kid. But Wonder Man. That sounds weird. Anyway,
Oh, no, I'll take Wonder Kid
that's
over that
no.
any day.
Nah, yeah, we'll just stick with Wonder Boy. It's all right. No, I'm doing all right. You know, just been playing some stuff and working on finishing up the QWI 100, which is always fun, and just kind of getting ready for the holidays a little bit. Low key stuff. You know, just kind of chilling around the house, getting presents and playing more Cyberpunk. We'll get to that though. I'm not
Mm.
gonna go on that diatribe yet. That's for
Don't worry,
later.
we're getting to it because like we spent an hour last week on Cyberpunk, so of course another quarter of today's show has to also be about Cyberpunk. Maybe longer actually, looking at the list now. God fucking
Yep, it's the game that just keeps giving in the worst way fucking possible.
Look, you can stop giving. I don't want to get it anymore.
You have no
Also,
choice.
also with us today, the ever lovely. It is Lindsay, aka Lady Merowyn. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, today was a thing.
At least they didn't make you have to stay late again today, so that's a positive.
Originally I was supposed to actually, but my team lead was really nice about letting me start a half hour early so I could not have to work a half hour late.
That's a fun trade-off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm used to having to starting at 11 because that's how they've been sitting all of my overtime anyways. They start me at 11 instead of 11:30, then I work through to 8. But today for some reason they had me 11:30 to 8:30 and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, can we fix the thing?"
I'm always
So,
happy for days like today where I went straight from therapy to work and then worked all the way up until I had to prep for the show. I'm doing the show now and then I'll go straight back to work. It's a fun, busy day, and I'm so glad for fucking coffee, even if my Keurig backed up on me a minute ago. It still
ooh,
gets me through the day. Love it. Fucking amazing shit. Hashtag not a sponsor, but if you guys wanna, I'll even stop saying the F word so often for you. I'll throw that
I
one in for
won't.
free.
I won't.
yeah,
I have a
no.
lot of F words I can say for
Like
Keurig.
fabulous.
Fornication. All right. So I don't know about you guys, but I've been neck deep in the Cyberpunk 2077. I have 40 hours in this fucking game already. I haven't sat down and fucking ground out a game like this since like Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It's been a hot goddamn minute. I think you both are in the like you guys have both also been playing a bit of it.
I
For
definitely have. I don't know if Marilyn picked it up or not.
I did. I've been playing it on PC, and I like usually my gaming is limited to like 2 hour stretches, and that's when I'm streaming. But I actually sat down and I played this for like 4.5 hours straight on one of my days off, and I'm trying to figure out the fuck just happened.
It's
Okay,
oddly
well,
addicting.
I will cede my time for the moment because we didn't get to get any of Marilyn's perspective firsthand last week when we talked about it. So I want to hear your thoughts first on the bit that you've played so far.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, PC runs decently, driving his ass.
Yes.
I mean, this is the first game I've had where it's like they give me the option of using a car and I'd rather walk,
Same.
which is
Yep.
sad.
Though I will tell you, if
Um,
you find the Akira bicycle, fucking buy it. Bicycle, motorcycle. That shit is great.
I have the gifted, like the motorcycle that you receive. And yeah, so it glitched to the point that I got on that bike and it looked like a teenager trying to learn how to drive standard for the first time. It's just like ka-chick, 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 ka-chick. And so
Have
I'm
you
like, screw
had
it,
the
I'm walking.
cutscenes where somebody else is driving and the driving script breaks?
No, I haven't had that yet.
Oh, I have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I am a huge audiophile when it comes to everything. And so the sound glitches I have been getting are fucking unforgivable. The fact that I'll be standing there and it'll be like, "Oh my god, who's talking at me? Who's yelling? Who's dying?" And there's nobody around me. And then I walk like 3.5 blocks and there's the people who are fighting and dying. And it just kind of breaks my immersion just that little bit. And I hate first person shooters. Hate them. I'd much rather a 3PS. And you know what? While it is a first person shooter, I can actually forgive it because the story is so damn good. Like, I have totally fallen in love with this story, and it is fantastic. And that is why I have forgiven all of these horrific glitches. All
See,
of
good
them.
boy Josh Kumar in chat, thankfully, saw how awful I am at playing with the guns and was like, you should use a knife. And I have ever since, and it's been a world of fucking difference.
um, I actually haven't had too much issue with the shooty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have the DPI on my mouse ridiculously high, so I literally just twitch and I've done like a 180.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not too bad. Um, but mouse and keyboard for the win. I don't think I could play this on a controller, although it might make driving better.
No,
Maybe. No. Okay.
no.
Um,
This is the worst driving. No, I take that back. I have played games that's way worse driving, but like when you're supposed to drive as much as you're supposed to in this game, it sucks.
Like the only game I can compare it to in terms of like how bad the driving system is Deadly Premonition.
I mean, at least it's not Final Fantasy 15's fucking driving system. That was fucking lame.
So the only other thing that I have is I decided to run with the corp background.
Mhm.
And all right, so from what I understand, if you do the street kid or you do the nomad, you actually get to go through in your little intro-y bit and learn how you meet Jackie and
Mhm.
how, you fit into the grand scheme of things. You don't get that shit with the corpo.
You kind of do.
It's like your corpo shit happens and then suddenly you're working with Jackie now. A la montage.
I mean,
Well,
to be
yeah.
fair, I played Street Kid. So in that mode, like the most you get with how you meet Jackie is that like you are on a job and Jackie interrupts you, and then you both get arrested, and then the police let you go, and you're just sitting there like, oh well, that sucked. Well, I guess we can be buddies now, and then you get the cut, then you get the montage.
See, you
So it's
don't
Yeah.
not
even
that much
get
better.
that as a corpo.
No, like as a corpo, you meet up with Jackie, you have a conversation about how you guys did your, past stunts together and laugh about good times and do a toast for each other before they come in, which was at least more than like you got with Nomad. That was what Hollis chose, and I watched that. And Jackie is just kind of chilling out somewhere, and you like pick him up and then he gets in your car and you start driving and people shoot at you and then the game starts.
Yeah. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed by how long the fucking intro for that game was.
Yeah, I remember when they like rolled title on me. It's like, oh fuck off! I haven't been that annoyed as when a title rolled since Final Fantasy 1.
I
You
was
want to
more shocked.
you want to know something funny about that late title card?
Yeah.
Hmm.
My game glitched and I didn't get the title card.
Ah, of
Like
course.
literally, my game glitched out and didn't show me the title card, so I didn't know where it was supposed to be inserted until I looked it up later and realized that my game glitched out the title card.
Oh, ow.
What a cool ass game this
Like,
is.
what's his name? Deshaun. I think yeah, Deshaun. You know the it's in the E3 trailer, so I'm not. It's not a spoiler, but like the title card pops up after Deshaun like pops you in the head, right?
Mhm.
And like literally it popped me in the head and it went to black and then the crashed and when I loaded it back up it didn't load up the title card.
I have to ask, since this isn't one of our parts of everything, because like there's so many things we can talk about with this game, and I don't want to spend the whole time talking about nothing but Cyberpunk. But did you see any noticeable difference after the patch that they rolled out for PlayStation 4?
Okay, so yes and no. The game has gotten a bit more stable in that, last week when we talked about this game, my game had crashed a total of 5 times
Mhm.
up to that date. It's only crashed twice in the last week.
Okay.
So still hard crashing.
Mhm.
Um, and still messed up AI with the driving. A lot of the same audio glitches of like people still yelling after they've died. A lot of that stuff. Performance wise, I've run into a fun issue where textures are loading in even slower at some places. I'll go to do a mission and I'll roll up to where a doorway is supposed to be, but it's just like a blurry block of nothing, and I'll stand there and watch it as it shifts to the doorway with the door closed and then the door opens. It takes like a full minute at times whenever that happens. It's happened multiple times.
God
So
Almighty,
that's really
when
huh?
50 cents textures
Yeah.
pop in better than this game.
Yeah. It's frustrating. Also, I speaking of like the when you're having the ride-alongs during missions, I was playing one of the missions with Pan Am, And one of the checkpoints on a mission with her, you basically are like, she's driving her car and you're riding with her into this gunfight, basically, right?
Mm.
um I died, and every time you die at that gunfight, it reloads you into the beginning of the cutscene where you're driving into it.
Mm.
And every time that I subsequently had to restart that gunfight and had to replay that cutscene, I spawned inside of Pan Am, like inside of her. I could see her, like the back of her eyes, like one of those like a gas like Assassin's Creed Unity model type things.
I mean, it's pretty
Uh,
obvious how bad V wants to get in Pan Am anyways, so like I think it fits well.
yeah, yeah.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
But yeah, it's just like a bunch of like, the game has gotten more stable in that it's not crashing as much. It still is a headache
Oh.
and a half to play in many cases. I'm still playing it though, because like the story is good, because like I said last week, I'm a sucker for a crime noir. It
Mm.
doesn't really feel like a cyberpunk story per se, outside of it being in the cyberpunk setting in a lot of ways. And also, I fucking hate Johnny Silverhand. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
get that
Really?
part of it is me role playing against like this dude just constantly like berating me and trying to take and that sort of thing, but like fuck.
See,
I'm just frustrated.
I like him, and I've actually been able to use him to rationalize what it's like to deal with mental illness.
Mm.
See, and I
See,
can understand that.
I talked to Hollis a bit about it, and he was like, "Yeah, the actual RPG Cyberpunk was never really all that punk to begin with. It's kind of like how '80s nerds saw like a dystopian future instead of being actual punk. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like steampunk isn't really punk. Cyberpunk, not much different. There have been a couple of patches released for PC. And the most recent one, which I think is like 1.05,
Mm-hmm.
broke more than it fixed.
Yeah, same for Stadia. I never got a crash beforehand, and I've gotten two since.
I haven't seen any crashes, but Peter's been tooling around with it with the update. He hasn't seen crashes, but now we're dealing with that wonderful bug where NPCs are stuck in the T-pose.
Oh, that reminds me. My character got stuck in a T pose multiple times.
Seriously?
Yes, first
Ugh.
person T posing.
Okay, let me ask, have you two had like issues where like everyone just decides to start attacking you out of nowhere?
Yep.
Like you did nothing and everyone starts attacking? Then let me ask,
Every
after that happens, have you had it where a character you're supposed to interact with is dead, but you can still interact with him?
No, I have not had that.
I
Bloody
literally have
impressive.
talked to a dead man's ass. It's great.
That's fantastic. I need to make this happen just for the shits and giggles.
Truly.
Although, see, I started playing with Peter here, who had already put like 10 hours into the game.
Mm.
And, I finally get out of like tutorial land and have my gun out for the first time because I didn't know how to holster it because they didn't tell me till like 20 minutes later. And I'm sitting in the elevator coming down from my apartment, and the screens were getting really irritating, and the guy was being a douchebag, so I shot at it. Yeah, apparently if you shoot in public, the cops just spawn in and you gotta run like fuck. And he's sitting here killing himself laughing because he knew exactly what would happen and didn't bother to warn me. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you shouldn't shoot your gun in public unless you're killing somebody who's a bad guy." I'm like,
That's my
okay,
Peter.
what a
Good
dick.
man.
I was super frustrated. And so that led to like immediate panic, 500-meter sprint.
Super. All
Yeah,
right.
because I hadn't gotten a car.
let's go ahead and drop into the related stories. By the way, hi, it's a new lighting system and a new webcam and everything. I need to get like another light here so I get that delightful 3-point light, but we'll worry about that later. Hi everybody, this is me in HD. Welcome.
Hooray!
Any shit. Yeah. So the executives at CD Projekt Red or Project Red, and just the overall CD Projekt Group management board has taken the blame for this. That they ignored the signals that there were issues on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and demanded to run forward anyway. It's at least nice to hear an executive taking blame for an issue. It doesn't fix things, but I am somewhat pleased for an executive to actually take the blame for an issue and not try to shove it off. Oh God, COVID's been so bad, and we just there's been so much strife in our community.
Well, see, here's the thing though. Like it's good that they're saying this, but there's problems with how and where they're saying it because let me see if I just want to make sure I get the name right here. I'm just gonna say Kaczynski, Adam Kaczynski, co-CEO of CDPR, um, or CDP actually. He said this during an investor call. This is a presentation to investors in CDP, not to the general public. Granted, this is available to the general public, but you're not. I would argue that most of the people that are engaged with Cyberpunk 2077 right now are not going to be hopping on the investor call for the company that made it
Yeah.
um, on a regular basis. And also, like you can say all you want that like the launch was way below expectation, and that we took the wrong approach, blah blah blah. You still knew what you were putting out, and it's evidenced by the fact that you only released PC versions of the game to reviewers ahead of
Mm.
time. And, like there's no other way around it. Like you cannot ignore that you knew this was a problem and you actively tried to hide it, knowing you were going to release this game that already the pre-orders themselves already paid for its development. So
Yeah,
anything
this is
beyond anything beyond the pre-orders is going to be straight profit. And you knew that that this game was going to hit big whenever it released, regardless of how. And then once people got into the game and realized the state of it, the refund structures that are set up by by the console companies are nowhere near as forgiving as as a marketplace like Steam is going to be. So, like,
it's
it's gonna be extra hard for people to get refunds. Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
no, it's
What are you gonna
cool.
say?
It's shit management is what it is. They probably saw that there were issues on PlayStation 4 where it was like, oh gosh, we've got such great developers here at CD Projekt Red. They'll iron out the kinks, I'm sure. Just hand off the PC version to all of the reviewers and let them play with the already finished one. And by the time everything rolls out, that day zero patch, it'll fix everything. I'm real sure of that because just we're always great here at CD Projekt Red. And God, I have said before, like I have had games with glitches galore too. Like Control, the first week out of the batch was a fucking framey mess. But it still was not as bad as this shit. And good on them for taking some responsibility, but what are you gonna fucking do about it, you piece of shit? It's like no one has learned that you can't just capitalism your way out of these problems. You can't just, oh fuck, we'll do another crunch week when our developers are already fucking tired and don't want to crunch anymore, so that we'll have a day zero patch. Eat a dick.
Yeah.
No, and like and Ian Walker, who wrote the article for Kotaku here, points out
Mm.
very handily that really a lot of the messaging is feels like hogwash because like the lead quest designer for the game last year spoke to Eurogamer and said that they had every version of the game running at all times in order to keep an eye on parity across platforms.
Mhm.
If you're doing that, you see the cracks. You see where the two versions of the game delineate. Not to mention the fact that all of the images that we saw in the marketing, whenever it came to console stuff, was
Mhm.
running on either the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X systems or on
Mhm.
PS5 and Xbox Series X systems that were playing the game through the backwards compatibility setups in those systems. So
Mhm.
you and which obviously on those systems, the game is going to perform better than it is on the base PS4 or the base Xbox One. So they actively knew about this for much longer than the review window that media had to engage with this game. They've had to known about this problem for at least a year. And like I know they said in the statement with the investors that they the reason one of the main reasons why that they didn't release the console versions to the media up until according to them 1 day before release. I haven't really heard many people talking about receiving the game 1 day before release. I've heard a lot of people talking about like that this was a huge surprise to a lot of people on the day of release. But them saying that was because they were working on the game all the way up to the very last moment, which like duh you are because like looking at the state of it, of course you are because you know what the problem is with this thing. And I'm sorry, but like hiding it away from people is so disingenuous. And I keep coming back. I've been thinking a lot about this week about a lot of the hype around this game and a lot of the marketing and a lot of the attitudes towards its release before we found out what the product actually was going to be, the state it was in on release. And CDPR, I've never seen a company waste away so much goodwill in 1 week.
Oh, it's been a shit week for them for multiple reasons, and God, they're gonna have to do some fucking legwork to overcome this tragedy. I have never seen so much goodwill die so quickly.
Yeah, it's frustrating to see. It's
Mhm.
and not but like at the same time, like they were already like shooting themselves in the foot years ahead of the release with the way the marketing was done, and it really speaks to how much a game can survive on hype alone in a lot of ways. Because like let's be real, like we didn't really know we had expectations for what the game was going to be, but no one really knew what it was going to be, and nobody expected the state of the thing whenever it came out. Um, throughout all of this, it's a game that really felt like it survived up to release on hype alone, and then we got the product of what hype alone gives. And honestly, for me, I don't know if we have a story in the list about this, but this makes me call into question um like how console makers really work with certifying games and having games go gold going forward because Sony and Microsoft knew.
Oh, it's not in the list, but yeah, I am certain that Sony had to have looked at this prior to it going live and gone, oh, but they must know what they're doing. They're CD Projekt Red. They'll fix it before it goes live.
Um,
But there
unless
is
I'm
a note
mistaken, I
about.
believe there was an article at some point, and I don't know if I ever shared it, that pretty much was saying that this game managed to skip over like the last stage of certification for consoles.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
basically
sure
they
Sony does that for all their triple A's.
well, I mean, basically, yeah, because like a lot of games are the reason why we have so many games that have the huge day one patches and that sort of thing is because a lot of games, especially massive AAA titles, are passed on cert with like notice that like they'll report like yes we know there are some bugs in this that are gonna affect a small amount of players, but we're going to work and we're gonna have it fixed on release day. So they that's how like the certification process kind of runs now. Is that like we promise we'll fix this, and Sony's like, okay, we trust you to fix it, and then they certify it to release. Um, Clearly, that system has been exploited somewhat when it comes to Cyberpunk,
Mhm,
because they clearly did not have enough ready to fix what was wrong with this game. I don't understand how like the sheer amount of bugs and the rate that they show up in this game just from the technical aspect of it. Like, I don't understand how they would get away with trying to pass this on like a certification on notice in that way. Like, this is the kind of level of buggy technical problems in a game that would not constitute what that system, from what I understand about that system, what that system actually like allows for when it comes to like fixing stuff up to day one,
mhm,
in terms of like that relationship with Sony and them, the trust there. Like this is and not just Sony. This is Microsoft too. You know, they
mhm.
they allowed this thing to be released.
Oh yeah.
They knowing what it was going to be. So
But Brian, at least they fixed all of the dildos that are lying every fucking where in the game previously.
hooray! There's less dildos, so you can feel comfortable playing Cyberpunk 2077 now.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing bad can happen. So this is, I think, and I think we were talking about this before. This is the first time I've ever seen a AAA game get pulled from either Sony or Microsoft after it's gone live. I do remember Arkham being pulled from PC after it went live. So
Yes.
it's not as if we haven't seen similar to this before in the wild. But goddamn.
Yeah, this is a first. I mean, Sony very late in the day announced, I can't remember what day it was last week, but it was sometime last week near the end of the week.
I want to say it
Might
was
have been
Friday.
Thursday or Friday, yeah. Late in the day announced that they were pulling Cyberpunk 2077 from its storefront for digital sales. And they were actually going to be like offering refunds to players who bought the digital version of the game for PS4 and I believe for PS4 Pro as well.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, because last week we talked about CDPR getting out front and saying like we want to make sure that anybody that wants a refund gets a refund. But of course, that messaging comes from a company that really has no control over that unless you bought the game through GOG.
mm,
They can't tell Sony or Microsoft to um, waive their clauses around refunds and that sort of thing. But and that caused a lot of distress because people were going to Sony and Microsoft asking for refunds and they were being refuted per their refund systems. Um,
mm.
and then of course that got a lot of blowback to CDPR. CDPR was talking about it. Finally, Sony just threw up their hands.
From like my understanding of reading a lot of blogs now, this of course may be, the way that I interpreted information, but I think this coming down had as much to do with CDPR as it did with Sony based upon what I read. I think Sony isn't a big fan of offering refunds. So what
No.
I think went down was, well, if we're going to offer refunds, we can't even have it on our store until it's ready. We don't do this. So shit got pulled.
No, and rightfully so. I mean, the game was not in a state where I think people playing on the base PS4 or even on the PS4 Pro really could engage with it in the way that they wanted to. Granted, this is all technical stuff. It's not even getting into the cultural stuff and some of the narrative stuff that goes into this game. But yeah, like it's for good reason because like if you're going to start offering refunds, like yeah, why would you keep trying to sell this thing?
Mm,
But it just was crazy to see that this happened. Like it's the right call personally.
mm.
I'm
Yeah,
I mean I know,
absolutely.
and I'm surprised that Microsoft is still selling the game through its storefront. I know that they have opened up their refund system more for Cyberpunk 2077 purchasers. Um, but yeah, like this is just I was shocked when this came down. like in the middle of the night, or not in the middle of the night, but like after I had closed up shop for the day working. It was just I just had never I'd never seen anything like this from Sony.
Yeah, it's a trip, and the people freaked the fuck out about this. This was huge news the moment that it landed. And oh, I actually shouldn't put this. Don't mind me. I'm just moving things around real quick. Um it's not looking great for them, like, at all, and the internet has been slamming the shit out of them for it, and rightfully goddamn so. But it's not the only reason they're getting, and I think we touched on this a little bit last week. But devotion, and getting into why is a whole long thing, but devotion has been having trouble getting out to the public as well, and was on GOG for a while, and um, it, because it has criticism of the Chinese government, it had been pulled from other places previously. So Epic finally pulls it off of GOG, or not Epic. CDP here pulls this off of GOG, stating that the gamers have been writing them and want them to remove it. And it is definitely not the gamers that they are worried about. This is dealing with the Chinese government that no one wants to deal with. But once you step on the ability for people to play video games, God bless. If you do other shit to them, they're fine. But the moment you take away something that they didn't even know that they could have beforehand, suddenly we're very up in arms, and not the times before when everything was fucked up. No, just when you take away that beautiful game you didn't even know existed and you weren't going to buy otherwise.
Yeah, and the timetable on this is even more like incredulous in a lot of ways. Like the game Devotion released, I believe, either end of 2018 or early 2019 on Steam, and
Mm,
was pulled a few weeks after it was released because they discovered a meme comparing Chinese President Xi Jinping to Winnie the Pooh, which he absolutely hates that.
mm,
Um, and also another complication for this in terms of the cultural dynamics at play here. Red Candle Games, the makers of Devotion, are based out of Taiwan, which has
mm,
very, very strained relations with China.
mm. To
So
say
much
the
so
least.
that, like, yeah, like we saw stuff that happened around the Hearthstone esports situation last year, um, and that sort of thing that had a similar feeling to it around that relation there. But Devotion has been pulled and not really available commercially anywhere since then, even though the team at Red Candle went back and revised the game and pulled that stuff out, wanting to still be able to sell it. Um, and then just randomly out of the blue of the other day, like the Red Candle Twitter account tweeted out that Devotion was going to be available on GOG. Like it wasn't it hadn't been commercially available on the site for the same time span since it had been pulled from Steam, but
Mm.
it was announced they announced that they were going to be re-releasing the game on GOG, and then like 2 or 3 hours later, GOG tweets out, we aren't going to be listing Devotion because of all the messages from the gamers. Which I will say this much: they probably did get some messages from gamers
Oh, I'm
from
sure.
Chinese markets, because Devotion got review bombed hard by Chinese players because of that content whenever it was originally released on Steam.
Mm.
Um, but yes, this definitely factors more into the business dealings that CDP might have within China per se. I would argue I'm right there with you on that. But it was just such a quick thing that it was just like very whiplash in the way that it was, and it was just And yeah, there's really no other way to look at it other than like them kind of, I guess, kowtow might be too strong of a word, but it's definitely in the realm of what they did in that way. Because devotion, like I'm not gonna say how I was able to play devotion, but I played devotion, and it's a stellar game. And there's another game that they put out before that called Detention that is still available on storefronts that everyone should go check out because they make really good eerie, atmospheric horror games. Um, so like it's unfortunate that this whole thing happened and that we had another complete 180 on a cultural basis from GOG, another CDP subsidiary like this. They just keep stepping in it every which way they can, and I really hope that the people at Red Candle find a way to get Devotion back onto storefronts, any storefront. Excuse me, at some point down the line.
They have to, right? Because like this is kind of blown up at this point. There has to be someone out there that is willing to put up with getting, bombed from Chinese players and maybe removed from, Chinese websites in order to put up this game.
Itch.
Somebody has to be out there because
Itch is the place. Itch.io. That would be the main place I would say for that. This would probably be the best place to release it. So
plus either like itch or maybe I could see Humble Bundle releasing this as well.
I believe Humble Bundle has some kind of association with Tencent,
Oh,
which would make that a no go. I'm not positive on that though. I'll double check that real quick while the
yeah, go
conversation
for it.
continues.
So yeah, I find it amazingly like I never had a great feeling towards CDP or CDPR because they've always been a bit misogynistic. Their Twitter had a whole lot of bullshit, the controversies for no good reason. Their marketing has been fucking gross in some places. But gosh, the gamers still love them because they put out Witcher and they run GOG, and GOG is mostly good. Boy, it isn't, it's not Epic and it's not Steam, so they're the good people. Without looking into any of the bullshit they have pulled previously. So, yeah, it's amazing to me that they lost so much clout over this last week. And by the way, this article by Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon, I'd recommend reading the whole thing to get a better idea of how all of this has gone together. But CDPR has become a joke now. When you see that bright yellow background with that certain font, you know that somebody is going to be taking the piss at this point. Um, God, even Blizzard did not take the public spanking that this company has taken over. Yeah, I'm more mad, honestly, over what they did to Devotion. I think it's fucked up that they released a game with glitches, but this is why before I started doing this for the funsies, I never pre-ordered games because God, launch weeks often are shit. Um SimCity launch, for example, was shit. Diablo launch was shit. Um Control at launch was goddamn terrible. There's been so many fucked up launches. Why would any casual gamer buy a fucking game in the first week? You can
I mean,
wait. I promise.
at this rate, why would a gamer buy anything within like the first 2, 3 months?
Yeah, I was perfectly
Because
happy back when I would get things at like the $20 level when it was, the game of the year release that came with all the neat little add-ons and shit.
Like I'm
And
not gonna.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
it's it's just getting ridiculous. Like game prices are going up and we're getting more and more broken games that clearly aren't finished. And uh, we got to start voting with our wallets again.
No, and just to go back to a point that you had there, Trav. Like it's for me, it's not necessarily a matter of like which is worse per se, because like if they're gonna like the issue with devotion and then the issue around the marketing of Cyberpunk 2077, like they're just two different sides of a coin that lands in shit. Um, many times. Like it's just a matter of like they've shown time and time again that they do not understand what their actions actually equal out to whenever they make them. And there's so many they keep just like especially on social media, they keep stepping in the mud over and over again, whether it be a lot of the all the transphobic stuff coming out of both the GOG account and the CDPR account, co-opting trans mantras online or mantras that are supposed to be about trans empowerment online to market your dumb game where the most trans you get is lol we can put the penis on anything. um and and then like come back with this devotion stuff. Like it's just like all around like CDPR. Like I know personally for me, CDPR, I their reputation has been like colored this way for me for years at this point. I don't really like. It's just I don't want to see. I don't know. It's going to hurt me whenever I see the redemption arc, whenever they get the technical stuff figured out and the game runs smoother. And then everybody's like, "Oh, Cyberpunk 2077 is good now." I'm like, "No, there's so many other things. There's so many other things for you to look at. Great that the game's running fine, but engage with what this thing is trying to say. Engage with how this game was marketed and what CDPR as a company has said around it. Like, there's so many more issues other than just the fact that, you know, I pulled a gun out of Jackie's head. You know, and real quick,
Yeah,
also on that Humble Bundle thing, like Humble Bundle is owned by Ziff Davis, who worked with Tencent to set up IG in China. So there's your connection with Humble Bundle.
okay, but that's that's a that is such a thin tie between the two that I'm a little less worried knowing that about Tencent having a strong pull to say, hey, if you do this, it might just hurt your standings with us.
I mean, there have been thinner connections.
Well, if CD Projekt Red doesn't learn from the community, I'm really hoping maybe they'll listen to the investors. And as always, thank you, James Batchelor from GameIndustry.biz. You're one of my goddamn favorite writers. um, and multiple financiers of CDP overall are very mad. It's not just the fact that their stock has fucking tanked, but they have expressed strong disappointment with the management overall, which tends to lead to CEOs getting ousted. So if they don't recover goddamn soon, I'm kind of hoping they don't, honestly, because I would love to see the management actually have to pay for how bad they fucked this up. But, CEOs rarely have to pay for their dumbasses, so they'll probably come back from this.
No, I mean, well, here's the thing. Like, this is actually like a penal code thing. Like,
Hmm.
this lawsuit has merit in many ways because, like, let's be real. If you're interpreting the penal code that James puts in here, quote, misrepresentation in order to obtain financial benefits. That sounds pretty spot on for a
Hmm.
company that knew that versions of their game were broken, but freely released them onto the market because they knew that the game was going to sell because of the hype built up around it.
Yeah.
Like, it seems pretty good standing for a class action suit if investors do want to bring this against the company. And obviously it's going to take a little bit of time before anything like that does happen, but
Mm.
we'll see how it plays out. I would not be surprised if it actually happens. Funnily enough, also coming out of this, there was a report from Bloomberg, good old Jason Schreier, um,
Oh.
talking about real quick, I just want to say, like, Jason Schreier, maybe direct your ire at the companies that are um being doing the wrong thing, as opposed to the other journalists who are maybe uh you know offering some criticism that
Mm.
shouldn't be just blasted out on site on Twitter. That's just me, though. That's just me. Anyway, so basically had a report in Bloomberg that reported on a internal meeting at CDPR last Thursday, where apparently the staff took the executives to task for this. Like, they were pissed. They were very, very upset. They asked them about, like, all the development deadlines, all of the crunch, all and the company's reputation. Like, there's a lot of worry within this company with the people who are not to be blamed for this whole debacle. The people that made the game, that actually, like, physically hands-on made the game, they are just as upset as I would argue the majority of players that are playing the game are, with this. And it sucks because, like, all of that work, all of that crunch, all
Mm.
of what they deprived themselves of and what they gave up to get this thing out the door before 2020 ended, like the company wanted, has now really blown up and just in a puff of smoke. Like, it's ruined. It's if not ruined, definitely dented heavily the reputation of CDPR. And not to mention, a lot of these people, they're gonna see, if they do go work for another company, this game's gonna be on their resume. And, like, I know that there are people that are gonna be understanding about the situations there, especially with the constant reporting around the situation of the development of this game. But it's still, like, a game that was, like, meant to be a huge bright spot for a lot of these people working on it, now has this tarnish on it that is not going to be scrubbed anytime soon. Maybe not
I
ever.
I personally have no doubt in my own mind that this isn't going to be another Andromeda. I don't believe so. I think within the next month, we're going to see some significant patches coming out to fix a lot of the major problems. And after that, it'll be fine for the developers to have this on their resume. Now, I think a lot of people's Christmases are going to suck because of this, and that's fucking awful. And this should be the time where people are raising champagne glasses at CDPR because of all the fucking wonderful work they did. But no, they're just getting fucking roasted on Twitter by 14-year-olds telling them they're going to kill their families because they released a lackluster video game.
Yeah.
And
Fuck.
it's not just CDPR that's going down with all of this. It's the reputation of so many other people. You had so many big names put themselves into it. I mean, from B-listers like Jesse Cox, I mean, all the way up to like Grimes has a role in the game, and people have been going to these other people's Twitters and roasting them and giving out threats as well because they dared to be in the game as well. Reviewers that were hoodwinked by being given a better version of the game than actually came out, with the belief, as all reviewers do, that, oh, well, the copy they gave me has some bugs, but surely there will be day zero patches because the bugs they experienced weren't as bad as the bugs that actually happened to real world players because of how they handled this. And that sucks. Maybe worse than everything else is that people put their names on this, and now they are just getting shit for loving video games.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Um, I think the most frustrating thing that I've seen, or when it comes to this stuff, specifically when like looking at how reviewers interacted with this, and what, if any, role there was in terms of CDPR, quote unquote, like using review games media sites to kind of camouflage the state of this game upon release, really comes from how people in other sectors of the media have responded to this. Specifically, there was an article on Defector, the former Deadspin people. There was an article on that site that came out that made some really tasteless Gamergate jokes in the article, and on Twitter, and then also basically framed this whole thing as like, wow, look at how much video game reviewers are just sellouts, blah blah blah. I'm like, that's not the fucking takeaway here. All right, these people, like, I've reviewed video games. It's not like what all is going into these things. You're also usually doing it on a shortened timetable, almost always.
Mm.
Trying to get through stuff. Like, let's be real. Like, people that reviewed this game got this game like 1 week before release. They got the PC version of the game 1 week before release, and they had to play through this whole fucking thing in a week. They had their
Yeah,
own
they're
version
not
of
going to do the
crunch.
side stories or crafting bullshit. They're not going to get into the nitty gritty, so they're going to have to make assumptions.
Well, no, I mean, no, they that's the thing though. They are, though, because they know they are good at their craft. Like,
Mm.
there are plenty of people that logged like 40 to 45 hours in 1 week of this game, with this
Sure,
game,
but
as
it's
one
not
big
enough
like,
time to really touch everything in depth. Like I remember the one reviewer from Polygon getting blasted for not touching the crafting in it. First off, you goddamn don't need the crafting in this fucking game, but
no.
secondly, like yeah, you're not going to be able to touch all the nitty-gritty stuff and really get your feet as dirty as possible. You're going to get to experience the game, but not that in depth.
Yeah, exactly, and that goes back to the review cycle for these games, and how quickly these things have to be turned around because companies don't release games in a timely manner. A
Mm.
lot of people that reviewed this game have been out publicly talking about the practices that go into game reviews, especially for games this size, where like 1 week is sometimes a luxury whenever it comes to
Mm.
this stuff. I know there's the story about Jeff Gerstmann from Giant Bomb when he was back at GameSpot. He played and wrote the review for Ocarina of Time in a weekend. That's fucking stupid. That is a business practice that is just like it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's not an expectation that we should have within this industry. And I'm glad that this whole thing has brought that to light as well, with a lot of people talking very openly about the state of games reviews, with this sort of thing, and like the actual like logistics of it that go into it.
Much
So
less
yeah,
like
like,
companies like Bethesda that won't release their game to reviews before the game comes out. And so they have to scramble like the day of and just blow through the game as quickly as possible without some of them go without sleep to finish these games in time.
yeah. Like I said, in many ways, it's just a separate version of crunch that is put on to games writers and games reviewers. It sucks. There's no good in any of these situations. It sucks,
Super good.
and it needs to
Brian,
change.
are you glad to have spent another hour talking about Cyberpunk 2077?
Oh, God, I look, every time I boot that game up, there's a conversation, because my partner's in the room with me when we play, and or when I play, and I every time I complete like a side mission, there's like a 30-minute conversation that we have between each other about what happened in the game, and about the relationship between this and CDPR and all this other stuff that factors into it. I like this game. I will continue talking about this game for hours, whether on this show or not, because like this game frustrates me so much in so many ways.
I went downstairs to grab some creamer for my coffee before going live, and Joan was talking about it on her stream, so I spent 5 minutes down there talking about it with her on her stream.
Yep.
So yeah, even people who are not like really into gaming, for instance, Laura in our server chat, our Discord, has been like, "Oh yeah, that game. That's the one that's completely fucked up, isn't it?" To paraphrase because she does not like the F bomb, but still, people who don't even know this game is a problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, the palate cleanse. Speaking of horny on main games, Hades, thank you, Emmakin from Eurogamer, is finally getting its cross save. So you can play on the Switch or Epic Game Store or Steam, or what have you. You can play your game and transfer it wherever you want to.
Dope. I am all for this. I'm glad that I knew this was coming at some point, but I'm glad that it's here now. Not that I could. I don't think my computer would be able would run Hades well,
Mm.
but no, I'm just glad that this is. It just makes it more accessible, and that's all that matters. Like, make it easier
Also,
for people to play more Hades.
this art of Hermes, they didn't even have to make this, but that's dope as shit.
Hell
Just for
yeah,
this announcement.
into it. I love all them floppy.
Hermes running around with a bag of goddamn floppies. Kids today don't know what a goddamn floppy is. That's a save button. Woo! Coop, have played it on a good platform. It's called the Epic Game Store. Oh! Anyway. Um, hey, so here's going to be our Zen happy moment that I'm going to fast forward to.
すごいね、近づくと迫力あ
Oh,
り
and
ますよ
let's
ね。
mute this because I don't want to deal with Nintendo. But the Super Nintendo World got a direct last week with Miyamoto-san walking around the new theme park and showing off some of the cool things going on. And God, it just felt so good to watch. It was so fucking wholesome. This is like this is date material because you don't just go on rides here. You really interact with the world around you and hunt for secrets and hit things. You physically hit things to play these little mini games and shit, and that is so good.
Yeah, I am all in on this. Like, this just looks dope. I love theme parks to begin with, but like
Mm.
this is something that as a kid I wish had existed, and like I'm still a kid inside somewhere, and I that kid is gonna come out with glee the first time that I'm able to get over there and check this out. Like, this just looks awesome. It looks so good.
Yeah, when this hits Universal Florida, not when it releases, but I promise you at some point in the first year, I'm going to go to this because this looks rad as shit. And frankly, in the year of our Lord 2020, watching adorable things like this is really something we all need.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Giant Pie. I am definitely not going to this anytime soon because, the COVID and shit, but still. All right, sadly, because of Merwin's internet, she is not here, but uh, I will just talk to you about it.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Ghostcrawler?
No. I
All
am
right.
not.
So, Ghostcrawler was basically one of the main people that worked on the lore of World of Warcraft. A lot of
Ah,
the
okay.
themes and ideas can be brought directly back from Ghostcrawler. Like, so much that he is a part of the game. Like, you see a crab in that game, it is based around Ghostcrawler's iconic design of his own crab. Because he is so much ingrained in that game. So to see him go from World of Warcraft to a new MMO from Riot Games is honestly kind of exciting because this man has a lot of ideas in that weird brain of his, and he makes some really fucking complex ideas go around. A whole lot of the lore is entirely based upon his decisions, and it's not that he works on this alone or worked on this alone, but seeing him on a project is a very good sign that they're getting the right people here for this. So I'm stoked, which is weird for me and a Riot game and an MMO.
Well, I
I
mean, I'm with you on the MMO thing because I've just never been an MMO guy personally. But Riot, they have the capital to bring in whoever they really want to bring in, and they've definitely been, they've had plans for a couple of years now to start branching out from just League and really expanding that League universe. And you know, Valorant released this year, and it was stellar in the first person shooter realm with a game that honestly that I think there might have been some doubts about Riot in terms of like breaking out into other genres of games, because for the longest time Riot was just League.
mm,
So like, but Valorant proves that they have some metal in other genres, and now if you're partnering that team with the the guy behind so much of what made WoW, um, gave it that much drawing power and really
mm.
built out a world that really drew millions of players in. Like, yeah, this is a no-brainer for Riot to pick him up.
Yeah, it's surprising to me the redemption arc that Riot has gone from being like this company that is just super gamer bro shit to like this year they're giving their employees holiday vacation time for the realsies with a 10% bonus and all this shit. I don't know when Riot started to become good guy over here, but don't prove me wrong anytime soon, Riot. I would appreciate if you kept going in this positive direction to make up for the bullshit and sexism you did before.
I mean, yes, the company's been moving in the right direction in the 2 years since that initial report came out about the culture there, and I'm glad that they're making the right movements. But it's one of those things where like I'm keep moving in the right direction, don't regress. But at the
Mm,
same time, like a l- we don't necessarily know everything that's going on in the company. So it's one of those things where like you're making great games. You are outwardly showing that you're at least treating your staff better this time around. Um, Hopefully that is a sign that changes are starting to take. And I know we had the updated story about a year after the initial one where things had started to improve, but it was still very like nominal.
mm.
So hopefully the steps are still being taken in that
Yeah.
aspect. So because like I'll be real, there's a lot of people that still work at Riot that are very still dude bro.
Mm.
So like
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's
no, that you're not going to get that culture fully out of it, but they're doing better, and as long as they continue on this trajectory, I'm kind of happy. But
yeah.
it's one of those things. Um, it's kind of like some of my friends commenting after Biden won and everything, like, oh, isn't it? Doesn't it feel so much better to have like a good person as president? I can finally relax. No, it's not a time to relax. We keep working because there's better we can do than this. So
Exactly.
yeah, you can continue to be better and you should continue to be better, but it does make me happy to see such a positive trajectory in both cases. My tongue doesn't want to work with me.
It happens.
While we're on Blizzard today, Hey, here's a joke that we keep bringing up, but has never happened until now. Diablo Immortal finally came out of its shell. There is an alpha out currently in Australia, and you can sign up now to receive updates when they do finally release it. There isn't a date where this will finally release, but finally, prepare your cell phones because Diablo Immortal is finally releasing.
And honestly, this is probably going to be a major moneymaker for them. Like I know that they're promising that future content updates will always be free. That's
Hmm.
because that's not what you're going to make your money on in the
No.
mobile market. It's all about microtransaction stuff, and like they're already talking about bringing the greater rifts, the randomized dungeons from Diablo 3 into the
Oh,
game,
god damn.
and those dungeons require keys to open. I would not be
Hmm.
surprised if you can probably earn keys in game, but they're also pretty much available if you just want to buy them.
The moment you
So like
mentioned that, like, I realized in my head how easily goddamn monetizable those dungeons are. Holy shit.
Diablo, ever since like what Diablo did Diablo 2 have access to? No, Diablo 2 didn't have the marketplace. Diablo 3 was the one that introduced the marketplace, right? Where basically it was very very easy to make money within the game just by selling random shit on there. So like
Hmm.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like that they're gonna bring in a system. Like granted, they worked with that system to remove the exploits. Ultimately, I think they pulled the marketplace completely from that game, if I'm not mistaken. So like yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that the game that already had a system like that built into it at launch before being removed, that they're going to try and find some way to use that um, in the mobile realm to enhance the microtransaction capability of this game.
Gonna be real with you, Bri. Before World of Warcraft hit, I played an hour of Diablo 2 and I did not like it. I played an hour of StarCraft and I did not like it. I played an hour of Warcraft 3 and I did not like it. Until World of Warcraft finally got its claws on me, I considered Blizzard my favorite company that I could not stand. um, Even then, like it took so much goddamn convincing for me to play World of Warcraft, but because I knew like every Blizzard game that I played, other than oh, what was the console game that they put out? Not the Three Dwarves game. That was also the fucking tits. Um, I can't remember the name of it, but man, real early fucking Blizzard with the Three Dwarves and the other game. That was some great shit, and my brain will not pull up the name of it, but whatever. Uh,
It's okay.
um, as well, people have had an actual chance to actually play this game. Mostly in Australia. But most of the reviewers, such as Android Central here, Daniel Bader, who had a chance to sit down with it with their phones, played it and actually enjoyed it, stating that this is one of the best Android games he's ever played. So that's kind of exciting. You don't see a lot of great gaming over phone. Like, I actually saw Bloodstained is getting or just got a mobile release. And my head, how?
I mean, we live in an age where you can link up your controller via Bluetooth and actually play it that way if you wanted to. So like, yeah, it makes sense in that way. But I don't know how you would do that with like touchscreen controllers or
Absolute
touchscreen control.
tangent. But I love using dumb technology in the dumbest way. My
Mm-hmm.
bathroom, I got these smart lights for like four for $12, and I wasn't really expecting much out of them. But the first thing that I did when I realized I could change the color was to set my bathroom to bi lighting, and it is great. I am walking into the sexiest bathroom in existence now every time I enter.
Nice.
God bless fucking around with technology. Speaking a bit of fucking around, Twitch bans the word simp. This story is so dumb on not that this happened, to be honest, but the way it's kind of gone about it. Like, okay, so it is not the fact you can say simp or virgin in Twitch chat as much as you fucking want to your heart's content. It is all about using it to degrade somebody else directly, which I can completely understand. If I have played games multiple times before and just virgin, live in your mom's basement. Yeah, this is actually kind of a good thing that has been rolled out in the stupidest way possible, so that it has become a meme. That it is taking place. Just a little bit of extra work on the rollout of this. And because just to read it at first, simp is being banned under a portion of the revamped policy that prohibits derogatory statement about another person's perceived sexual preference. It doesn't make it sound good. It makes it sound like a nanny state sort of thing that everybody loves to say, but it's just saying don't make fun of other people for their sexual preferences or proclivities.
No,
Cool.
yes, and also I would say like it's also a issue in messaging whenever it comes to the launch of that new harassment policy because a lot of the language in that is really tied into the prevalence of sexual harassment
Mhm.
within Twitch communities as well. So like a lot of the revamping focuses on trying to um, crack down on streamers and commenters who make sexual harassing comments towards streamers or other people that are viewing games and stuff like that. But kind of having this whole thing be led by a headline like Twitch is banning simp honestly kind of undercuts some of the actual work that's being done
Mhm.
in a way. It also opens up another chapter in some of the vagaries around how Twitch enforces its platform because it's banning these words incel, virgin, and simp based off of how Twitch interprets them being used.
Mhm.
It's all about like if they're being used in a harassing context or an offensive context. And there might be a situation where the word is not being it doesn't appear that the word is being used in a harassive context. I'm not advocating that is a regular thing that happens, but it might from time to time, and it really boils down to how is Twitch going to enforce it, and how are they going to interpret the meaning of when the word is used. So, and we on this show we've talked multiple times about frustrations around Twitch's ability or their decision making rather when it comes to enforcing these types of things. Revamping your harassment policy is great. It's a great step in the right direction. They've been making some positive steps, some small, some large, over the past couple of months. We talked about them banning the Confederate flag on streams a little while ago as well. So they're definitely moving in the right direction, but also they're moving in a way that still leaves some open interpretations that are very Twitch like, honestly. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's awkward, it's questionable, and it's super inconsistent. Josh C had posted a story earlier today about a lady who streamed to the Twitch and decided to show her whole vagine, spread and everything, and got a 3-day ban. Uh, Now, I am of the personal opinion that as long as viewers can have a little check mark that they are over the age of 18 and get verified in some fashion, that'd be fine, dog. But I think there should be a Vagine on Twitch. I'm fine with it. But it does kind of make me question how well they're actually enforcing their own goddamn rules when I've seen women banned for months over having too much cleavage exposed.
Yeah, it's very wishy-washy with how they're enforcing things, and obviously, I still have many issues with how they um, police women's bodies on their platform. It's one of the main frustrations I have with the platform, in many ways. So, and I think people just want more straightforward messaging around this stuff, and not to leave it as open as possible. And I understand that setting up those kind of like strict guidelines might be hard with a platform that is ever evolving in the way that Twitch is, but you've got to make some kind of effort to at least figure out something that can accurately communicate to the people using your service, where the levels are, you know. Like
Yeah.
it's immensely frustrating. Not to mention the fact that like they've shown that they are capable of um kind of adjusting their guidelines depending on different things, like looking at Cyberpunk specifically. We're back to fucking Cyberpunk specifically. Twitch has policies around nudity in games. Cyberpunk is not privy to those on the platform, um even though there's just straight up nudity in the game.
Hmm.
Even though there is a option to censor the nudity in the game, in the options menu, so it's definitely something that could be done, whenever it comes
Easily, yeah.
to the policies that Twitch has in place. But Twitch being as lax as they are with that with Cyberpunk, but yet so many other games that don't have the reputation that Cyberpunk does, that are like positively um, invoking nudity and sexuality in a way, those games are banned on the platform. Like that there's just disconnects in all the different things that Twitch is trying to do that they really need to find a way to thread and better interpret for the people that are using the service.
While we're on Twitch and Cyberpunk, I kind of want to bring up there is actually a problem with Cyberpunk as well, that they misflagged some of the songs used, whether they're DMCA compatible or not. There is
Yeah.
a toggle to get rid of DMCA songs, yet they didn't do it for all of it, so a lot of people are getting bad now. Not for the naked boobies, but because of bad music.
Yeah. Hooray.
Brian, have you run across a single banger other than like songs very specifically put together for a specific scene in Cyberpunk?
I have turned off the radio in my car. I It's one of those things where I there's one Run the Jewels song in there that's good because it's
Yeah,
Run the Jewels, but I can
yeah.
listen to Run the Jewels anytime I fucking want. I just turn the radio off in the game. Like I'm cool.
I wish they might have spoken with Lord Hideo Kojima just a little bit more. Just a little bit.
Mm.
I'm going to give one more tangent. I am extremely disappointed in Hideo Kojima right now. They said they were going to have news for their 5th anniversary, and it was mostly merch.
Well, I mean, they
That
said not to
is.
expect a major game announcement or anything.
No, I wasn't expecting a major game announcement, but like something more than merch. It's Hideo Kojima, the master of weird shit. I was at least expecting like, hey, we're putting crab heads now into Death Stranding. You can become a crab anytime you want to. That'd
I
have been
think they're
dope.
gonna hold off on the tie-ins with other games with Death Stranding for the moment after they did the tie-in with Cyberpunk. I think they got
Yeah,
burned on that a little bit, but being associated with that. So I think maybe they're just gonna put a pause on that for a little bit.
fair, fair. All right. Hey, while we're on the Internet of Things, so Sephiroth came into Smash last week to many laughs and hooray. But amongst the me figures that got announced as well, the costumes that will come along with him, the one that stood out the most to people was Gino from Super Mario RPG was included. People have been begging for Gino to be in Smash Brothers, and there was, of course, difficulties with licensing because it belongs to Square, but also Nintendo and rada rada. Hey, Nomi, how you doing? Thanks for all the butts. Always think for butt. Anyway, uh, yeah, Gino has been brought in, but only as a me. So of course the internet had a shitstorm because everyone wanted to play as Gino way more than play as shiny sword boy Sephiroth.
Yo, you know what I have to say to all the Geno people?
Mhm.
Welcome to my Waluigi-less world when it comes to fucking Smash. Welcome to the party. We can both complain now.
Waluigi isn't even a me fighter, as far as I'm aware, right?
I thought he was.
He might be. I'm pretty sure he's a
Oh no,
statue.
wait, no, he's a trophy.
Yeah.
Fuck, god damn it! Even Gino gets better than Waluigi. This is some bullshit. I want my mustached purple man to get the love he rightly deserves. It's frustrating.
You know
Look,
what?
Gino, cool. Thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. Gino in the game in some form or fashion, the same way that Barrett's in the game. Fuck. Okay, that's fine though. He's there. Waluigi, just a thing, just a what look at. Fuck.
I
You hit
will
my
say
emotional
that
core a little bit.
the chocobo hat though is cute as fuck though.
Oh no, it's definitely cute. It's a cute
Yeah,
hat.
kind of want that hat. Might spend 75 cents on that hat.
Also, get that Aerith costume. Make Aerith fight Sephiroth. Fucking
Ah!
revenge.
Let Eric win for once. Fuck yeah.
Cut that other wing off. Fuck a one-winged angel. No wing angel. Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck you. We don't need wings in this bitch. Anywho, next story. Apple and not giving refunds is a tale as old as goddamn time at this point. The latest is a mother whose 6-year-old son has spent $16,000 on Sonic Forces. And boy, there's been a whole lot of mealy mouth bullshit in this. So, her credit card company at first said, no, this isn't, your problem. You've clearly been hacked. We will reverse the charges and we'll take care of everything. Don't worry about it. But it took them multiple months for them to finish the investigation, where they found out that the expenditure came from her own account and then a call to Apple because of the fact that her son bought these games or these coins for the game through it. And Apple said, well, this is past our 60-day policy for getting refunds like this. So we cannot issue you a refund at this time. And dared to say to her, you should have enabled security on your phone, had parental controls locked. Because who the fuck is expecting in the Sonic game, the kiddie game that you are handing off to your 6-year-old, that you would be able to run $16,000 of charges?
Like this we had a story similar to this a few months back with a different game. I can't remember which game it was, but fuck. Like this is the gall of Apple to tell her that she should have put parental controls on this thing. Like, look, time and time again, microtransactions have been pointed to as a problem because of, how they are easily accessible and marketable towards children and people with gambling addictions. You
Mhm.
know, legit issues. Granted, they're separate issues in many ways, but they're two legitimate issues. Um, and like, look, yeah, should she have put parental controls on her iPad? Yeah, probably. But I'm not gonna sit here and like advocate Apple's victim blaming in this. Like
Mm.
this is frustrating as fuck. Like I think that like it sucks that the bank didn't do anything about this, and
Mm.
Apple like this. I just oh my god, especially considering this all has gone down during the pandemic, and like as it says later on in the story, like this woman has been having trouble, like hasn't been paid for 8 months, and has been having trouble affording her mortgage and everything. Like this is just daunting.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
gross, though there is one quote that I have to pull out of it because it is pure comedy gold. Directly from the mother. These games are designed to be completely predatory and get kids to buy thing. What grown up would spend $100 on a chest of virtual gold coins?
There are some grown-ups out there that would do that, but they're grown-ups and they have their own money
Mm.
to make that decision with. That doesn't make these games any less predatory, though. You know,
Madam, you have not met the Sonic the Hedgehog fandom. They are many of them that will spend $100 on virtual bullshit. Yeah, it's not a surprise to me. Though I'm not entirely anti-gotcha. I do believe with all of my heart that spending caps should really be put into place for any of these games. Oh, you passed $50 spent today? Come back tomorrow.
yeah, I'm totally on board with something like that. And like this is one of those issues that makes it hard for me to like advocate for these style of games, honestly, because like I've engaged with Genshin Impact. That's
Mm.
like one of the more gotcha of gotcha games out there. But I also engage with it, recognizing that I'm not going to spend any fucking money on this game because I don't need to, nor do I want to. Honestly, I'm not that heavily invested in this, but doesn't make these practices any less predatory than they are. We have years of history now to look at that showcases how predatory they can be. We've had governments starting to look into these things. We've had legislation proposed in multiple countries around this stuff. Like the message is out there. You can't expect people who don't engage with games on a regular basis to understand how these things work, especially with mobile stuff. You can't it's not right for companies to assume that and then to have them assume these costs because
Mhm.
someone else in their family is stealing. It's effectively stealing. It's theft in
No,
many
I
ways.
absolutely agree. And
So
say, for instance, there's one very easy thing they could fucking implement. All Apple products currently have biometrics. Google has this. Whenever you buy something off of Android, it asks for your biometrics. It asks you to scan your finger or put in a passcode every time you buy. It's an easy goddamn fix.
yeah, it just sucks that Apple isn't willing to work with this woman because like obviously this this is a I'm I, this is an isolated case in terms of the amount of stuff like this, but
Mm.
like this is definitely not an isolated case in terms of like kids using their parents' credit cards to run up tabs on games and stuff like that. Like there had to be like protocols, better protocols with companies to engage with these sort of things. And just telling someone turn on parental controls, you should have turned on parental controls. I guess you're fucked. Like that's no, I'm sorry. That's just terrible.
Yeah, that's not how you speak to somebody who spent an entire car's worth of money on Sonic the Hedgehog now in the middle of a goddamn recession.
It's not even that she spent it. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
she didn't even get the joy of spending it in the first place. She didn't even get all the dopamine that you get from these gacha pools.
Nope.
All right, our last story, Hey Nomi, I hope you're listening, could have been in many weeks, are Mr. Video Games, to be honest with you. Homestar Runner, to celebrate the death of Flash, has dusted off the Stinko Man game based upon the anime version of Strong Bad to make one last level and put some updates into the game along with a animated introduction, cutscenes, and various other upgrades to the play mechanics.
I'm fucking here for this. I'm all the way in.
Yeah, I may stream this weekend. I'll think about it.
What better way to celebrate the death of Flash?
Yeah,
Honestly.
this is I remember playing I want to say in the computer lab at my college, the original Stinko Man side scroller. And there's definite upgrades here. It looks like you can actually play as the Homestar Stinko Man equivalent. Nomi, just for you, just because you asked nicely, I'll do this on Christmas Eve. I will do this on Christmas Eve. I've got nothing better to do. Fuck it.
Nice.
So there you go. 8 p.m. Christmas Eve. Be there or be square. I will play the Stinko Man for the amusements of the internet, and hopefully they have controller options by now, because I remember playing this on the keyboard and being frustrated as hell.
You know they're not.
Yeah.
You know they're not going to have control support for this.
Yeah, Vitalectrix is not exactly known for the quality games. That's the whole joke.
Get this Jazz Jackrabbit bullshit. Hell yeah.
God, just look at that delightful animation. I'll figure out keyboards at some place, Nomi. I swear to God. But yeah, under any other day, whoop, that was a mistake. Give me just a second. But hey, that does give me a moment to bring up that, hey, under any other day, that would have been Mr. Video Game, but we will have a Mr. Video Game for you today. Close that, because I just played my hand too quickly. Mr. Video Game is where we look at a thing, place, person, noun, etc. We look at just something that is on the internet, somewhere, somehow, that is so great, so stupid, just such a thing that is so very goddamn video games. Hey, just, yeah, that thing is video games. Holy shit. And this week's Mr. Video Games goes to Tencent, of all places, for putting out a job advertisement for a Pokemon consultant. We don't quite know how this works in exactly, but here are your requirements for the job of Pokemon consultant. Clear all Pokemon games with 900 plus hours. No history of Pokemon. Have Master Ball ranking in Pokemon. Watched over 500 episodes of the anime.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I engage with the Pokemon fandom from time to time, but I do not understand if they have like an actual ranking system for your knowledge and or involvement with Pokemon to the point where there is like a blanket Master Ball ranking in quote unquote Pokemon. Like I just how do you calculate that?
I don't know how you calculate how many hours you have in it. I guess maybe somebody doing the interview would ask you a whole bunch of questions about it, but goddamn, I know a lot of people who could have signed up for this job specifically, and your job could just be a Pokemon master. Coupe de Jarn, in the chat, Master Ball ranking is your online ranking in the
Okay.
current game.
Okay. That that's better. Thank you. Because the way that they wrote it didn't make that did not communicate that very well. Because I mean, I got Master Ball ranking in the first Pokemon in terms of like I got the Master Ball, but I would not. I mean, like, would that make me Master Ball? Could I apply for? Well, I can't apply for this job anymore because they pulled the job listing down, unfortunately, because apparently too many people applied, quote unquote. I don't. We don't know the reason. We don't know the reason why, but come on, we know the reason why. Everybody out there knows thinks they're a Pokemon master. Everybody wants to get that gig. But no, it's just this is interesting. Also, by the way, Trav, we have the OBS is on the stream right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. See,
Mm.
that makes more sense, Coop. Thank you. But even then, this is just I want to know like if you have to by clearing all Pokemon games, do they mean just like the base Pokemon games, or are they talking about like I have to play what was the cafe game that came out on mobile this year, which is very cute and good, or that I have to play like 40 hours in Pokemon Stadium because fuck all if I want to play 40 hours in Pokemon Stadium. Like I don't know, like this is just very odd qualifications and very open-ended qualifications as well. Because like I don't know, just like no history of Pokemon. Okay.
Brian, if you are a Pokemon master, if you have the Master Ball ranking, you know you have the Master Ball ranking. If you have to ask these questions that we have, then you are not the person for this job. This person looks at this list and goes, "Oh, you filthy fucking casual. I got this beat." And goes into Tidcent, Master Balls in hand, and says, "I am your Pokemon master." That's the person that I am excited to have the Pokemon consultant job for Tencent, who apparently is also putting out games related to Pokemon in China. So there you go.
I would just like to announce that I am leaving the Mr. Video Game Super Show because I now work for Tencent because I demonstrated that I had knowledge of the trash bag Pokemon, whose name escapes me at the moment. It was enough for them to take the job listing down and give the job to me. I am the Pokemon man. Also, real quick, Coop, Pokemon Stadium is good for like an hour, and then I am just like, what else is
Yeah,
there?
it's either good for an hour or you're currently 14 years old. That's the only two settings I think Pokemon Stadium has.
It's just one of those. Okay, quick. We got time. Quick tangent.
Mm.
The
Mhm.
reason why I am so down on Pokemon Stadium is because as a child, I was super engaged. Well, maybe not a child. As a teenager, I was super engaged with Pokemon, and I thought that Pokemon Stadium was going to be a game that would allow me to take my Pokemon from my game and let them battle on the N64 because I was dim and not necessarily engaged with the regular things that come with video games and the constraints that might come with these sort of things. I just had a pipe dream, and when that pipe dream was burst, it just I was done. That the blast door is shut. Like I'm just no. I'm cool with it. I'll play it every once in a while, but I'm just like it's no Pokemon Snap.
I just remember being a teenager and looking at Pokemon Stadium and just asking my friends why. Why does this game exist? I don't understand. So you can take your Pokemon from your game, but not really.
That's the thing.
And then,
I can never get it to work. Like I never it just
ooh.
it never materialized for me and I've been jaded ever since. I realize that I am probably in the minority on this, but it is my minority to hold on to.
But there's like no like world mode or anything. It's the same Pokemon battles that you can do on your Game Boy, but with better graphics. Why? You're not even adding any new gameplay types. It's the same damn moves.
Well, they had mini games in there. I remember the treadmill mini game.
You
Like I
know,
said, it's no Pokemon Snap.
37-year-old Travis has the same questions that 15-year-old Travis had. And God bless if it's your bag, go for it. Lady Goggles, I catch all the time playing Fallout, and the 76 version, not one of the better ones. And I don't understand, but hey, if you enjoy it, go to town. But man, there are some things I will never truly understand, and Pokemon Stadium is absolutely one of those things. Like, I even understand Snap, but I don't get Stadia. I wish I did.
Snap is an objectively good game.
It's
Also,
objectively
Pocket
good game for
Tournament.
like an evening.
Pocket Tournament, also objectively good game.
All right, everybody. This has been Mr. Video Games for this evening. Before we go, tomorrow, I believe we're going to play a little bit of Fall Guys at 8 p.m. Friday at 8 p.m., I will play some Stinkaman for you. So please come in and enjoy the revelry of Stinkaman with you. And then the following Monday, we will do our Game of the Year list. As always, it'll be our top 5, bottom 3, and a best of honors list. And we will be having to go over why we feel like this game belongs in X, Y, and Z. And I'm still debating whether to include Cyberpunk 2077 or not.
I have a
Debate.
feeling I know where that's going to end up. On my list.
I mean, you might be surprised where it might end up on my list.
I
We'll
have a
see.
feeling. It's okay.
Mhm.
We can all
Mhm.
make assumptions.
Yeah, I'm not saying that my tastes are good. I am a grown man that listens to ska and watches YouTube channels where they do engineering and chemistry. So I am lame as fuck.
Fuck you. Don't say that about yourself. You're not lame because you listen to ska and watch engineering YouTube. No, that shit's dude, do what you like.
Oh, I
That's why I'm not
enjoy
sitting
it.
here saying like Coop is like shitty for liking Pokemon Stadium more than Snap. We have different opinions. We're still cool people.
Oh, I'm
I
not
don't
saying.
begrudge Coop.
Oh, I will go to the fucking bat for my Nile Red programming.
There you go.
But it is still very lame. It is fun. It is great, and I love it. It's lame as hell. But anyway, and maybe on Tuesday that week, question mark, we may finally do our spoiler cast. I am very sorry for missing the last one when we were going to do that, but I had a delightful existential crisis that occurred, and I've not ever had one of those before. That's fun. I never want to do that again. Anyway, this has been Mr. Video Games for December the 21st, 2020. I'll put all of when we're streaming all the various things into the Discord in the announcements after we're done. Of course, follow us on Twitter if you want to. The links to everything, including the Discord, is in the doobly-doo down below, and we always archive things to YouTube, except for the stuff we did last week, because all of the fucking technological problems we had last week. So, Brian, you actually get to say final words this week. Do you have any for us?
Yes, one. Coop, that was just an example. You're still cool. Just want to make sure that that's understood. Two, if you want to read any of my regular writing on pro wrestling and oddly enough, games as well, I've gotten to branch out a little bit into some more games writing. Um, on outsports.com. You can check out my stuff over there. Also, follow me on Twitter at WonderboyOTM for updates on stuff that's coming out in other places. Like I said earlier in the show, I'm working on another list. Not just I have a Game of the Year list to work on, and then I have the QWI 100 to work on, which lists the top 100 LGBTQ pro wrestlers for the year. That I have there's an announcement around that that's going to be made on my Twitter account tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that if you are interested at all in LGBTQ pro wrestling or pro wrestling in general. On that end as well, I host another podcast, LGBT in the Ring, which focuses on LGBTQ pro wrestlers. It goes live every Thursday on the Outsports Podcast Network. Just search for Outsports in all of your podcast services of choice, and you can download and listen to your heart's content. This week we have Jordan Blade, a wrestler out of the DC, Virginia area who is outstanding. And I really enjoy talking to her. So that's going to go live on Thursday. And other than that, yeah, I'm excited for Game of the Year next week. Those shows are always fun. And I'm totally not scrambling with too much work to do on Christmas week at all.
It's absolutely hilarious to rip into each other for our actual preferences each year.
It's spicy.
So I'm excited for that. I think this is the first time Merowyn's been in Game of the Year list. Hoping her internet's good. Was she in last year?
Last
Okay.
year. Yeah, she was in last year.
Sweet. I do look forward to that. And yeah, that'll be a fun cast, and we'll figure everything out. I'll put the schedule, as I said, into the Discord. I really had a lot of fun tonight. Thank you, Coop. And yes, of course, I understand liking the Pokemon Stadium more than I do understanding why my roommate likes Fallout 76. And even better than some of the other things that I've seen on the internet for likes. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about video games, though. We all have something that we like that other people are just like, why do you like that trash?
I mean, Hollis legitimately likes the Jason game for the NES, so like, people
That
are
is
allowed
the
things.
trash.
Giant Pie, Josh C, Coop, Nomi. I feel like I'm probably missed somebody in there, but thank you all for chatting in here, and of course to all of the people who come in and just do a listen and don't really talk during the stream. You're also fucking valid as well. I love your faces. Have a good night and a pleasant tomorrow.
Bye.